ora, no mai hoki mai, ko Trish Higginson, tuku ingoa, he ka mahi aho I whanau Whina Plunket. I'm a Plunket nurse with whanau Whina Plunket on PlunketLine, and I absolutely love the area of communication with Pēpi. So I'm so excited to korero with you tonight, Linda. Could you just introduce yourself to the whanau watching?
Oh, kia
Ngā
ora,
mihi.
Trish. Yeah, kia ora. Welcome, everyone. My name's Linda. I'm one of the clinical leaders based on PlunketLine. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, Trish, to discuss communicating with Pēpi. Yeah.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here, Linda, with all your experience. I'm really excited to get into this chat. So today, whānau, we'll be discussing why communication is so important with your baby, and that's right from the word go, as soon as they're born. And then tips on how to nurture and encourage language development and communication with our young Pēpi, laying the foundations for later development as they grow in those first 5 years and beyond, and lots of advice and tangible tips that you can do to help nurture this communication. It's not just verbal communication, there's so much more to it,
Yeah.
isn't there? So,
Yeah,
Linda,
sure is.
why is the communication so important to instill early in our Pēpi and newborns?
Oh, look, communication starts right from day one, with our newborns. And that comes in all different ways for them. We know that our newborns, our little babies, their way of communicating with us is through their crying. So when they're
Mm,
crying, they're letting us know that they're needing something or they're wanting something. And it might be that they're hungry, it might be that they're tired or they're overstimulated, or it might just be that they want to cuddle and they just want to be held and, up close to one of their caregivers. So that sort of communication starts really, really early. And as we respond to that, then that's the babies start to learn, and they learn that if they reach out and they communicate with someone, that someone's going to respond back to them. And we call that serve and return. And you might have heard that phrase too,
mm.
Trish, around,
Yes,
serve and
yes.
return. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really important right from the start to, and communication is sort of, having that eye contact, having that face to face contact with your peppy. So, face contact, smiling, talking at them, they're going to start sort of really engaging on your face as they start to get a bit older. They're going to really focus on you and then they're going to start mimicking you. And, some of the parents there who've got little babies, you might notice that now that when you start talking to them and they're focusing on your face, they will start to move their mouth and start mimicking what you're doing. So learning, you know, why is this mouth moving? How does it, how do they make those sounds? They're learning all that right from a really young age.
Wow.
So lots
Yes.
of copying, lots of focusing,
Mm,
stimulating the
mm.
brain, getting that all nice and active and, and learning right from day one.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful, Linda. And that brain development is a huge area that's so much research has gone into in recent years. So when babies are born, they have all these neurotransmitters in their brain, don't they? And
Yeah.
interactions with parents and whānau are what help them connect the brain pathways, and that's how they learn. And with all
Yeah.
the sounds that we make as caregivers, what they're doing is they're learning to crack the code to develop language, which is really amazing. So all those little interactions with your babies from newborn are so important. So
Yeah.
Linda, how can we communicate with newborns? What sort of ways could whānau do that?
Yeah. So look, nice, soft, gentle talking. So, when your baby's awake and, you're having that lovely eye to eye contact or face to face contact, soft, gentle talking, singing. If you're not used to sort of talking to a baby or, then doing something like talk through your grocery list out loud or, if you're looking at something else, talk about it. Talk about, something that you've done at work today, or, you know, just yeah, just that process of talking is really
Mm.
helpful. If you're a singer, sing. Baby doesn't matter if you're not singing on in tune. Like, I used to sing a lot to my kids, and certainly don't sing in tune, and I'm not a singer. But in the privacy of my own
Wonderful.
home, something that you do, and it all has the same effect on baby and the baby's brain growth and development. And as you say, unlocking that code to, language development. That's really important.
Mm. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
definitely. And I love that you mentioned about waiata and singing with Pēpi Linda because that is just wonderful. Things like nursery rhymes and finger play and action songs, music and movement are not
yeah,
only promoting language, but they're helping their brain development as well. It's that sensory stimulation
yeah,
is just wonderful. And reading stories, puka puka to Pēpi right from a young age is fantastic. You said
yeah,
before about serve and return, Linda. I think our production team in the background have a link that they could share of a video that shows how to do this. So, I think that's a really good concept for whānau to have a
yeah.
look at.
Yep. No, it really is. And as I said, like you'll notice it right from a really young age, these little babies that start moving their mouth and making little
Mm,
cooing noises. And, they've picked up on that serve and return and they're trying to communicate with you. They're learning how to do it. And
exactly.
it's really
Yeah.
important that you keep encouraging it. Like, let them sort of have their little coo with you. Keep
Yes.
that talking nice and calm and relaxed. And yeah, and it's just a lovely moment to have and to watch.
Oh, it is, and it's brain building. And I actually was watching a
Yeah,
video today, which is, I think, the one that Mackenzie's going to share, and it
yeah,
showed how to do that. So the serve is when the baby puts something out to you, and the return is
yeah.
where you respond to that. And that is incredibly rewarding for them. So in the video I watched today, they were looking at a book of animals, and the baby said, moo. And the mother said, yes, that's a cow. So you can see how the connections are being made
Fantastic.
there.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And sort of
So,
continuing on with that sort of communication there, Trish, generally just sort of talking to your toddlers and your preschoolers, they might go ball or cup, and you can go, yes, that's right, that's your red cup, isn't it? Or that's the blue
mm,
ball. Let's play with the blue one today. Doing
that's a
things
great
like
tip.
yeah,
Mm,
getting your children out with you hanging out the washing, and it might be, oh, let's use a yellow peg now, and getting them to sort of, find the yellow peg. Great, good
yes.
choosing. Let's find the
Little
green
treasure
peg.
hunts. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wonderful. And those nursery rhymes and those types of songs are so easy to remember, and they
yeah,
do pick them up, and it's a lot of good language. So, what sort of other things can we do to help interactions that we do every day? I'm a big fan of narrating the day with babies right from the start.
yeah,
I think sometimes we think because babies can't talk, we don't need to talk to them, but the opposite is true. So we can pick our baby up and say, good morning. We are going to do this today. We're going to visit Nana. We're going to go and get the washing in. And now we're going to go and make dinner. And just they love to listen to what you say.
yeah, yeah. They do, and like you just that everyday talking to them is really, really important. And it doesn't have to be specific. You just need to be talking. Um, I think some of the key things to remember is, like we're busy in our lives now, these days, like, parents are sometimes working, we're
Mm,
very busy people. And having a time where it's perhaps screen free. So, popping your phone down, turning the TV off, just having that one on one time where you're down at their level. So, you might be all on the floor together,
mm,
playing, singing, talking, having that eye contact. You looking at them and face to face, getting the children to look back at you, seeing your facial expressions, sharing smiles, enjoyment, that is what they're gonna pick up on, and that's how they learn.
mm,
You know, th
mm.
they're gonna mimic you as you start talking and saying words to them. As they get older, they'll mimic them and try and repeat some of those words back. Um,
Yes, yes. And
yeah,
it's important that we pick up on the correct way to say a word because babies will often say it in a cute way and then we might copy them. But we
yeah,
want to always use the correct word. So that's something
yeah,
else. Mm.
yeah, we do. I see we've got a question there that's, asking about, about baby talk, and do they respond
Yes.
better to it? I think what they respond to around that baby talk is usually when we do baby talk, we lower our voice. It's calmer, it's probably a bit quieter
Mm,
than we normally would speak, and it's softer. And I think that's what they respond to.
mm,
So you don't need to sort of specifically do baby talk or baby babble to our babies using normal everyday language, but in that quiet, soft way of talking to them is what they'll
mm.
respond to.
Yes.
You know, if we're loud and sort of, sort of forceful and sort of brash with our talking, that's going to sort of frighten them a wee bit. They're going to sort of be like, oh, oh, what's this? It's going to be
Mm,
sort of almost overstimulating for their little brains. Calm, quiet, happy, smiley. Yeah, that's what they'll respond
great.
to. Yeah.
And repetition and familiarity are also what helps build those brain pathways to develop language as they grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
having your daily routines, you start the day, you have
Yeah.
breakfast, then you might go for a walk or a hikoi or go to daycare, and you're doing those things in a repetitive way that creates familiarity and they feel nice and safe and secure. And then when
Yeah.
you're out walking, you can look at things like there's a tree, there's a cow, there's a sheep, depending
Mm.
on where you live. And that's really, really, and just all that sensory nourishment, getting out in nature is so important, isn't it?
Look, it really is. And, you can play all sorts of fun games when you're out walking. It might be, oh, where's the next green car? Or where's the next
Mm.
blue house? Or, can you see a flower in the garden somewhere? Like
Yes.
lots and lots. Keep their attention going, lots of talking. They just love it. They lap it up. Their little brains are like sponges when they're little, and they take it all in.
Mm.
And yeah,
They really are. Looking for
yeah,
rainbows on a rainy day, splashing in
yes,
puddles. How does that feel?
yeah,
And also, a great thing to do with little ones is take them to music and movement groups, play centre. Often
yeah,
there's community church groups that have little music and movement sessions.
yeah,
Babies do get a lot of social interaction with each other as well. So,
yes.
that's also good for language.
Yeah, no, they're great and lots of fun. Like,
Yes.
things need to be fun for them. And yeah, those music and movement groups are fantastic. Lots of fun,
Yes.
lots of interactions. Yeah. And great for
Yeah.
mums as well and caregivers. Like,
Mm.
they can go along there and have fun with other parents as well. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and that's important too. We can't sort of
Yeah.
all be shut in the house, and particularly at this time of year too.
Yeah.
Just getting out and learning and having new experiences is so valuable. So,
Yeah.
Linda, are there any tips you can share about talking and communicating with toddlers as they grow and their language develops?
Yeah. So I guess with sort of, toddlers and, sort of the slightly older children, I think it's around using, the positive language, using language and saying what you want the child to do rather than what you don't want them to do. So instead of sort of saying, don't be a naughty boy today, it might be, oh, look at Nanny's beautiful boy. Look at Nanny's good boy. I love the way you're playing nicely. Shall we go and play nicely with, little Johnny? Or, yeah. So use the nice positive language with them
Yes.
um, rather than what you don't want. Because it can be, if you imagine yourself, if someone keep coming up to you all day and saying, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, gosh, by the end of the day,
Yes.
it's not going to be a very pleasant experience. So
No.
try and change your language around to saying,
Mm.
oh, come on, let's go and play with this nicely. Or thank you for putting that in the rubbish bin. What a good helper you are today.
Yes.
Let's all tidy up the toys together. Make a song about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really around the language that we use,
Yeah.
and lots of praise, lots and lots of praise.
Mm.
And
Mm.
for some people, that might not come naturally, and that's okay. But if you can sort of set yourself a little goal and a target of, like praising sort of, every couple of hours, I need to sort of get a nice praise in there, or I need, like you actually have to train yourself to do it if you're not
Yeah.
used to it.
Yeah.
Um, but your children will respond to it. And that's,
Mm.
they will respond to it in a positive way. And they themselves will then start using some of that positive language as well. And you'll
Yes,
see
'cause
them.
they love to model, don't they?
They do, and you'll see the little ones, they'll rejoice in their own, achievements, like by putting something in the rubbish bin, and they'll turn around with a big grin on their face, and they'll clap, and that's them rejoicing, like, "Look at me, I've just done
Mm.
something really good," and you
Mm.
rejoice back with them. Again, it's that return and serve,
Yeah,
"Great, well done, thank you."
yeah.
Like,
And
yeah,
with toddlers, Linda, I think back to that serve and return and building on it from the baby perspective, you can actually have some dedicated time with your toddler, and we really recommend this on PlunketLine.
yeah,
Say an hour a day where it's mummy and Jimmy time, or whoever the
yeah,
baby is, and Jimmy gets to choose what we do. He leads, and that's incredibly empowering for toddlers.
yes,
This is our time, and you get to decide what we do. We might be building blocks or playing with
yeah,
finger paint, and I'm going to go along with you and do it, and you get to lead. And I think that's incredibly important and so
yeah,
empowering.
yes, yeah, it is. And yeah, again, as you say, having that dedicated time away from screen time, away from
Mm.
distractions if you can. Yeah. And, like again, sitting down and having those conversations. I think
Yeah.
for this group as well, it's important to start bringing in things like recognizing and identifying and putting a name to feelings. So
Yes.
this is when,
Mm.
our toddlers start getting really frustrated with things in life. So, giving those feelings a name so that they can start identifying it. Gosh, I can see you've got really frustrated over this. I know you wanted to go outside and play, but we can't at the
Mm.
moment, you know, but
Mm.
I can see that's really frustrated you. Shall we go and
Yes.
do something else now? So you've acknowledged their feelings, you've given it a name,
Mm.
and then you're going to try and move them on and distract them with it. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
but sort of helping them name some of those feelings that they'll start to experience
Mm.
is really important for this age group.
It
Yeah,
really is, and it helps to build that emotional resilience as well. And it's giving them the tools to be able to say how they're feeling. Like if a child is upset or misbehaving, try and look at what's actually going on for them right now. Are they
yeah,
tired? Are they hungry? Is it small child overload?
yeah,
Do we need to just scale back on outdoor activities or out of the house activities a little bit and have a rest day at home?
yeah, yeah,
There's so much else
yeah,
that might be going on. Or that are they just hungry or tired, or do they just want to cuddle?
yeah,
So
yeah,
naming those feelings, it is so empowering for them.
yeah, yeah. It is.
So we know that language and milestones can both exciting but also stressful for parents when they're unsure
Yeah,
um, that their tamariki are sort of getting to the milestones. So what sort
yeah,
of advice or suggestions would you have for whānau in regard to that? Because I think with developmental milestones, and particularly with speech, it's a very wide range of what's normal. So you might get
yeah,
some babies that start talking a lot at 9 months and others that don't start till later. But that
yeah,
doesn't mean that they're behind. Every child is an individual, and we need to acknowledge that. What is
yeah,
the happening with the child in front of you?
yeah. Yeah, you're right, Trish. Like every child will meet their milestones at a different, at a different age and stage, and that's absolutely fine. As long as you are giving them lots of opportunities to sort of talk, as long as you are, giving them lots of stimulation. So people are talking to them, and they're not just sort of left on their own to play, sort of thing. But if you are concerned about your child's development, then, the first place I'd suggest is to go, make an appointment with your well child tamariki or a nurse or your plunket nurse. Go along and have a chat to her and, explain what your concerns are. And, they can do an assessment and sort of, 9 times out of 10 give you some reassurance. And usually, what you'll hear is, look, just give it a little bit longer, um, and just watch things will start to develop as they get a little bit older. Um, but if they're, if you're still concerned from there, have a talk to your GP and see whether they're happy to do a referral to someone like a speech language therapist for you to have an assessment done. Um,
Great.
yeah,
Mm. So there can be such a wide range between a child who's just turned 2 and a 2-year-old who's almost 3, and the same sort of between the 3 and the 4-year-old, and you'll often
Yeah.
see if you give it a bit of time and relax and look at things that you might be doing in your whānau, that they do come to develop the language, it's huge,
Yeah.
the leap of development that goes on from those ages.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's again, each child is going to take it at their own pace. I guess it's like every other developmental milestone that they meet. They will
Mm.
take it at their pace and they will get there. And, once they start talking, and, sometimes you'll be going, oh my goodness, I wish they would just stop. Like they just talk all day, nonstop. So, sometimes we're wishing and we want it to hurry up and start. And then when it starts, you can't stop it. So, yeah. But
Yes, and when they
it's a
get
really
older.
exciting time. Yeah.
Yes, it's so exciting, and I was just thinking when they get older, you get the questions coming. How
Yes.
was the world made?
Yeah. But
Why is the
why?
sky blue?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
very, very interesting and wonderful time, and I think it's also really valuable if you do have some concerns to have a wee kōrero with your early childhood and just see if they have any issues, or
Mm.
concerns, because they are trained professionals in child
Yeah.
development and
Yeah.
learning. So, and then if there is any concerns, then you can come up with a plan between daycare and home. And,
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
that that's incredibly valuable, and maybe saying, give it 2 or 3 months. We often get whānau that call PlunketLine, and my 2-year-old isn't really talking much, not saying much, and we talk through the process. And usually, most of the time, it's give it a few more months and see what happens. And
Yeah.
sometimes you'll find that there have been things happening in the whānau. You might have moved house, or something might be going on. So it's always good to consider those other factors as well. A new baby coming along can be a big change.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, but just, if you are worried, reach out to someone, as I say, your well child tamariki or a nurse, your PlunketLine nurse, the nurses on
Mm,
PlunketLine, we're here 24/7. So, if it is sitting with you and you are worried about it, then, pick up the phone and give the PlunketLine team a ring. They're happy to talk to you
brilliant.
about it and give you some advice. Yeah.
Yes, we'd love to talk to you about it. And often, just that little bit of reassurance and having
Yeah.
a bit of a plan, and also we can give you some tips on how to promote and develop language as we've been discussing tonight. And
Yeah.
then everything sort of falls into place as they reach the next developmental stage.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yes. Oh, it is a precious time, isn't it, when you think of all that learning and all that brain development that's happening in those first 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. And, remembering that when children start to talk or our Pēpi start to learn language and sounds, that, there are some sounds that will take a little bit longer for the children to sort
Mhm.
of, I guess, get their tongue around and pronounce correctly. And that's okay as well. That will come as they learn and develop. But yeah, yeah, just keep talking, keep singing, keep communicating with them. You can't overdo it.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, we've got another wee question here. Linda, what is some advice about teaching pronunciation?
Yeah. Look, again, like I said, I think that, certain words and combination of words take a little bit longer for people to, sorry, for children to sort of learn. And I think sometimes just be a little bit careful about overcorrecting them all the time. Um,
Mm,
so if it's around, just not being able to say a combination of words, and I'm just trying to think what, like the L sounds like for lemonade, and you'll quite often hear children pronounce it lemonade, or they can't get the
mm,
l. Um,
mm,
so you might go, yes, here's your lemonade ice block, well done. But don't, yeah, that p- learning to say those sounds will come. I think
mm.
if we start correcting them all the time, it then starts putting a lot of pressure on the child. Um,
Yes.
and they can't do anything. Well, they can, and they will. They will learn it at their rate, and they will get there. But don't sort of put too much pressure on them. Um,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
the same for things like stuttering as well. So if your child starts to stutter, and that can be quite common for some children as they sort of go through, the early childhood years, they can start stuttering. Now, if that happens, then again, like you mentioned earlier, Trish, talk to your early childhood teachers if you're going to daycare or kindy, talk to your tamariki or a well child nurse, or talk to a speech language therapist. And they can give you some exercises and things to do to help with the stuttering.
Mm.
More often than not, it's just getting that child to just sort of slow down. So their little brain is going at 100 miles an hour, like they've got all this amazing information they want to talk to you about, but they just
Mm.
can't get the words out. So it's just about, sometimes slowing everything down and then getting them to talk about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And just again, really want to emphasize the importance of eye contact when you're communicating with Pēpi. As you said before, Linda, we're often running around 100 miles an hour ourselves with so many things that we want to do. And the
Yeah.
baby, we just need to take that time to sit and connect with them, look them in the
Yeah.
eyes and talk to them and make sure that they understand and that they're hearing. So
Yeah.
valuable.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, and that I guess that's another good point just that you brought up, Trish. If you are concerned that, that your child's speech development is a bit delayed, going along to your GP, talking to the practice nurse, getting them to check in their ears and seeing whether they feel, do you need to go and have your child's hearing tested just to make
mm,
sure.
mm,
But,
mm.
99%
Yes,
of the time it will come. And as I
yes.
say, once it starts, you'll be going, no, I just want 5 minutes peace and quiet. And I'm
So
not getting it.
we have another question here from Ashley. Hi, I have a question. What are thoughts on screen time for brain development? I actually think most of us know, Linda, that it's not good to have lots of screen time. And I heard a thing the other day, I think it was on Seven Sharp about popcorn brain. I don't know if you heard that one.
No. What's that
But
about?
it was really interesting, and it really made me think about screen time with children because it's so common now, and they love
Yeah.
screens, and they can be really, really fun to use. But we just need to be aware that they're not having too much of that stimulation because it can create this popcorn brain scenario where the brain's just sort of rushing around all over the place. So we need to make sure that we're having that calm time and definitely
Yes.
limiting screen time. But do you have any thoughts on that about how screen time can affect brain development?
Yeah, look, there's lots and lots of research out there about that, Trish, as you
Mm,
say. And I think if you have a look at the likes of the Brainwave Trust website,
yes. Yeah.
or Raising Children dot au
Yeah.
dot, or dot net
Yeah.
dot au.
.net.au. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got some
Mm,
really good research about that, and yeah, really good to have a read of it.
great.
I
Yes.
think again, like you said, limiting the screen time that they have, it's really important for not only for sort of language development, for their brain growth, for their physical development as well, to be out, to be up and active and moving around, whether that's inside or outside,
Mm,
using their imagination. So, making forts with, sheets and blankets that, on rainy
yes.
days when they're not
Yes.
outside, you know,
Mm,
having a box, an empty cardboard box, and drawing wheels on it and turning it into a car and decorating it, or turning it into a
yes.
castle, or, you know, getting them to use their imagination is really, really
Mm,
great for brain development. And it's great to keep them
mm.
entertained and busy.
Oh,
Um,
yes, it
so
is.
you,
So good to get
yeah,
out in nature too, isn't it? I
absolutely.
had 2 grandsons here the other day, and they do like their screens. They're a little bit older, they're school age, and I said, "How about we go up the road and look and check out the tree tunnel?" And I didn't like my chances, but they both said, "What's a tree tunnel?" I said, well, if we go for a walk up the road, we'll be able to have a look at it. And so I actually got them away from their screens and we went for a walk and they absolutely loved it. They were jumping across the little ditches on the side of the road. And my little 5-year-old grandson was picking up sticks and saying, I'm going to take these sticks home for your fire. And I think they forgot about the tree tunnel. We saw it, but it was much more interesting, all the conversation and the kōrero we had on our walk. And I just thought, wow, this is fantastic.
That is fantastic. And that's, yeah, if you think about overall the development that happened just in that short space of time, the enjoyment, the
Mm,
reducing of their cortisol in their brain because they're relaxed, they're happy, they're learning, yeah, they're not getting
yes.
overstimulated. So I
Mm.
think
No,
there's,
it was lovely.
yeah, going back to answering that question, there is lots of research out there about the effects of screen time. And
Mm,
for our little people, little short bursts, and sort of, yeah, mix it in with lots of non-screen time is really good.
mm. Yeah. I know that the other website that has very good information on brain development and the effect of screen time is takai.nz. And I know our
Yes.
production team are going to put that in the
Excuse me.
chat as well.
Yeah, fantastic website.
Mm.
Lots of really
Mm.
good information on it. Yeah.
Yes. And they actually have a really good Instagram page as well. So
Ah,
definitely worth
fantastic.
having a look at. So that's takai.nz.
Yeah.
And yeah, just such a wonderful time to know that we can influence our Pēpi and our tamariki with our input. They're
Yeah.
basically, you are their world, the parents are their world, and they adore you, and they're going to hang off every word you say, and you've got the chance to have all that input into their growth and development. So
Yes.
if you, yeah,
Absolutely.
enjoy this time, it's wonderful, and make sure that you narrate the day and have that dedicated time for doing wonderful outdoor activities as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
Mm.
And remember too that as they start to talk and their speech development starts, you will have a little parrot sitting in the back seat of your car. So just remember
Yes.
when you start to sort of comment on other people's driving, shall we say, that you may find that some of that is repeated back to you. So
Yes.
yes,
We have to be very mindful of what we say around little ones, don't we?
yes, we
Because
absolutely
they
do.
will repeat it.
They will.
Oh,
Yeah,
wonderful. Oh, it's been so good to kōrero
yeah,
with you tonight, Linda. I've actually learned a
yeah,
lot from this kōrero that we've had. So I think we will leave it there for the whānau that are watching tonight. Thank you so much, Ngā mihi nui, for joining us. And I just want to thank you
yeah.
also, Linda, for your expertise.
Oh, thanks, Trish. It's been great. And look, as we said, any questions, anytime, please just pick up the phone PlunketLine. And nurses are always happy to help, happy to talk with you, listen with you. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
lovely. Thanks,
Oh,
Trish.
cool. Ka kite anō.
Ka kite.